I'm Summer.
I'm behind gates.
This is Jenna
Behind gates.
and Ryan. I'm from LieLow Music Festival. I don't know if any of you have heard of us. We're a small festival about an hour and 10 minutes south of Calgary. And we're kind of village takeover style. So it's myself and my partner Nikki, who's not here today, but it's not just me. There's Nikki and then a big team of volunteers that put us together. We are at about, attendance-wise, about 400 attendees, and then we have 100 artists/volunteers that help us out over the weekend to do that. That's where I am.
Hi everyone, I'm Jenna. So I am the director of Canmore Folk Festival. So we're 47 years old, so we're one of the oldest festivals in Canada. We've been for a long time a really traditional folk festival. I always say folk with a capital F, but those kind of things we're shifting. Slowly and steadily we are shifting. We're looking for a younger demographic. We're looking to diversify our festival. We are in the middle of, or right at the beginning of August, and we see about 20,000 people over the weekend. 3 stages plus a pub stage, which is a little bit more of an alternative venue. We have 600 volunteers. We've got 5 staff, and we book about 45 artists over the weekend. So we'll do workshop style as well as main stage shows.
I'm Ryan. I'm the executive director and booking agent for Purple City Music Festival. It's a festival that was kind of built on the back of a previous festival called Up and Downtown. Purple City has been happening for 3 years, kind of came out of the pandemic. We're a youth-focused festival. The whole festival is all ages. I would say in a roundabout way, we're a psych fest. We have 70 to 90 bands playing last year we did 7 stages, all in 2-block radius. And yeah, we're just really focused on new music and, new sounds. Bit similar to Sled Island, I would say, if you were or if you've heard of Levitation or Desert Days, festivals like that. I guess on average we get about 2,500 people come to the shows.
So today we're going to talk about our process, how we curate our lineups, how you apply. All of us are different, kind of like baby, festival, mid-level, and then big time. Right? For us at LieLow, it's baby festival. We're not babies anymore. We're 4 this year, but I do a lot of networking. So if you're an artist and you have a show, I'm going to shows all the time. I want to know you. I want to hear your music. A lot of that is because I've seen you before. And then also sending us, we just opened actually for submissions, so you would send us your EPK. And that's something I'd like to talk about a little bit as well, because I get a lot of stuff, and I don't know about you guys, that's sent to me, and it's me opening all of these, and I'm like, it's like, I'd like to play, but there's like absolutely nothing in it. Like, and I'm looking for your link, I'm looking for your sound, what you look like, anything, and then I'll find myself researching, and like, I don't always find it. So I think my number one thing, if you're applying for festivals or any of ours, is like, make sure your EPK is tight. And one of the best ones I've ever seen, I don't know if anyone knows Ryan Bourne around town, but if you do, give him a high 5, because his is the best. And he could probably give you some good advice, because I don't have the tech side to tell you how to do that, but it's in this neat little package, and he will, what he like you should do is have like several different pictures and everything that I can then use once you're booked to promote you and bring people to come and see you, and then also share it. Right, but that's kind of how we do it.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to go as the middle?
Okay, middle festival. So we have an application portal. It actually just opened. Anybody's looking. It closes on March 3rd. And just for us, last year, out of the 200 submissions we got, 35 bands were taken from submissions. So we really increased our submission, placement in the festival. A lot of we kind of doubled in interest since 2022, so pretty excited about that. In that, you have a video link, you have your music, your photos, your bio, all of that. I think when applying for a festival, it's important to look at the festival and just don't blankly kind of apply to every festival. Look at the lineup from the last year, see what's happening in that festival. Kind of, that'll kind of dictate the vibe of what's going on there. Think about that. Think about if your band fits. You can still apply, but I think it's important to focus on those festivals that you stylistically as an artist will fit with. I think live video is awesome. I think it's if you have any live video. But our application process has a jury, and then we go through it all. It's about 5 people, and a lot of the time it's the fit of the headlining bands and what's going to make sense. So, don't be disappointed if you don't get into festivals. A lot of the time it's just really stylistically what's happening that year and what slots are available and what makes sense in that kind of configuration. It's not just about the best band or whatever.
Yeah, and I think my process echoes both. I'd say we are probably less on how many submissions we actually book from. That's just the reality of it. I get 50 submissions a day. So it's standing out. Live video for me is extremely beneficial, and it's also for me is networking. So inviting me to your shows, it doesn't necessarily mean I can be at every single show, but it goes a long way in showing okay, I'm playing here. So I'll be in Calgary, I'll be in Edmonton, come check me out. That goes a long way for me, and I remember, okay, if that doesn't work for this year, I'm gonna put you in the folder for next year, or I'm gonna put you into my winter programming. So yeah, it's I understand as an artist perspective, it can feel like you're just kind of emailing out into the abyss, and we're not always responding, we're not always replying, but it doesn't mean that we haven't looked, and it doesn't mean that it won't lead to something. It's just for festivals like ours, where we're putting together a very intricate piece of national artists, international artists, local artists, we're putting together pieces of the puzzle, right? It's not always just talent. It's not always being an incredible songwriter. It's putting together this puzzle or this painting that makes sense, that's visually beautiful, or that's auditorily beautiful, right? So there's many different components into how we're looking and booking. I do, because we're a larger scale festival, I work a lot with agents, but that doesn't mean that I don't book artists solo, who represent themselves. And we're looking, as we move into the future and as we're working to get a younger audience. Our audience right now, full disclosure, is average over 60. We recognize that is not sustainable. We recognize that that isn't something that we want to do moving forward. So I will be more in the Calgary scene. I will be more in the Edmonton scene, in the local Alberta scene, bringing in artists that way. So I will be much more present as a booker in this community.
I'd like to just carry on with that. I also think persistence is good.
Yeah. Within reason.
Yeah, there's a limit.
Yeah, I suppose.
Or there isn't, and you just keep going for it, because then again, maybe I can't make it to a show that first time, but if you keep sending it to me, eventually it'll get out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get the same.
Yeah, it's something to expand on that. A really good way to play a festival is attend the festival, support the festival, try to signal boost it, be excited to be there. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact, a band that did not get in 2022, a couple bands like that, I saw them at 2022, they were there, their friends were there, they were excited about it, and that definitely had an effect on when we were going to the submissions. It's hey, these guys really care about the festival and they want to be there, and they're really excited about it. So that's a perfect band to have playing at your festival, because just we need as music festivals as many promoters as possible. It's a very expensive racket. It's difficult to you see a lot of festivals go under. Survival is key. So sometimes I think when you have this big shiny name and stuff, bands come play, and they're like, this is just going to be busy automatically because it's cool, you know. But I find a lot of, you know, even just in today's climate with like people having a lack of money, you know, we need all the help we can get to keep the thing alive.
Yeah, that's huge. Looking into our festivals, looking at social media, just ensuring that you are the right fit, right? Like, we're all very probably different in the artists that we would book, so doing that research ahead of time shows. So if like you're submitting to Canmore, I don't know, like trying to think of an example that would like really not fly at Canmore, like a rave. If you're like gonna throw a rave, you're taking all the time to submit it to Canmore, it's like, let's look into what the festival is first and make sure that you're actually a value fit and a fit for what we're trying to do in the community.
And just from like going off of what you're saying too, is like attending as many as you can is a good idea. Is I really I go to as many festivals as I can, also because I love it. But and again, meeting people, networking on that, but it's not really networking. It's just having fun with all of the people that we all like the same stuff. So. But also you get ideas and stuff as well. So I would get different ideas from attending yours to build my festival better, but also as an artist, you're getting other ideas as well, which is really beneficial to you, I think. And I don't know, you probably see that at your own.
For sure. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I would definitely say before getting involved in this festival, yeah, like first and foremost, I'm a huge fan of festivals, so I've been going to them my whole life. I've been to a ton. So, you know, I think they're just a great place for artists to be exposed to other kinds of music, see other things that they may not see, meet other bands that you might not meet. You know, I've seen some really interesting connections come from Calgary and Edmonton bands at Purple City last year that now are doing, you know, show trades amongst the cities. And, you know, I think it's important to, with Alberta being so small and the arts community being relatively small, for, you know, yeah, like you said, go to other places. Like, it's not that far. You know, I always come down and, you know, attended things in Calgary, and it's always, you know, interesting to get an insight on what the scene is like down here and meet people that are working in the festivals, you know, in other cities.
One thing I will note too with our festival, because we do workshop style as well, is something that is a huge draw for me, is knowing that you can collaborate and that you are comfortable with that workshop scenario where we're gonna throw you on stage with an artist that maybe you met 10 minutes ago. You've done the research before, but you can collaborate. You can handle that sort of thing. That's a draw for us, is knowing that artists can collaborate, and how you present that to us in an application can just be as simple as live videos. It can be things that you've done in the past, other bands that you work with regularly in the community. Just letting us know that you're comfortable with that sort of scenario is helpful.
I also say too, like, I don't know, but when I'm approached or you're self-promoting, which you should do because I do that all the time. If you're not following LieLow Music Festival on Instagram, it's LieLow Music Fest. And I do this all the time, but promoting yourself is really helpful too, but also like flexibility in giving me options, because I'm working with a limited budget for sure on our level. So maybe you have your full band, but you also have a duo or a solo project. Like, definitely tell me about it, because you know. And then maybe, because again, with my budget, the payday isn't great. I'm gonna be fully transparent there, but you know, then you could maybe play the next day, you know, at the acoustic stage or whatever is the solo, you know, and we do that for sure. You know, some bands here have like maybe 10 people in them, right? But even those people over there have, you know, have like different projects and stuff like that. So that's great. And then everybody comes. And then also too, one of the other things we do with us is try and help you. If you're coming from, you know, Lethbridge, maybe you could have a show in Balkan before, after, to try and make it worth your while, and also to expand your own fan base and network. And that's how we kind of help too, right? If we're not a little bit, anyway.
And the benefit of having other shows is that once you're 2 booked shows, you can apply for travel grants, right? So if you have two shows that are booked within the same kind of radius that you can comfortably get to, it's going to make it a lot more worth your while as well. And then the government's going to pay for your travel if you get the grant. So it's good to kind of figure out some like-minded festivals around you. Work together, which I'd say most of us all do. Festivals on this level are collaborative, and we're kind of happy to all know and work with one another and talk about artists together, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like maybe we could open it up to some questions if anybody has, and then I thought it might be great to do like some like speed festival dating where we all meet each other, because we're all here to meet each other and network, so I thought maybe we could take like the last little bit to do that.
If I were to say apply to like a folk festival as a pop artist, is it just a matter of me communicating that, hey, I can pare down to an acoustic set? Like I guess it's hard to maybe see that in my music, but if like I know that I can pare down, so is it just communicating that, or maybe showing video of me playing acoustically?
Exactly all of that. I think showing the versatility that you have as an artist, whether that's, yes, you could be a solo, a duo, trio, you could be a band of 10, you can be acoustic, you can also be this. That is really helpful for us to know. And again, because we're a folk festival, that doesn't necessarily mean that everything needs to be acoustic, everything needs to be pared back. We have some bands that are more danceable and more pop and indie focused. So it's just letting us know kind of what your range, your palette looks like, and then we can kind of pull from there. Yeah.
It's like we're just bouncing off that, yeah, that's the same, right? If you like the more options, the better.
Yeah.
And for us.
You got it at the same time, so whoever you can fight.
You go. Okay, thanks. I was just gonna follow up with the video. If you wanted to show that you are versatile, but then you don't have like a live video, can it just be like you showing that, or does it actually have to have an audience and someone catching it while you were actually performing the different modalities?
No, I would say like you can send us as much support material as you can. Like I understand that not everyone's going to have professional recorded video of shows, but the more stuff that you can send us, the better. In an organized like little packet is always kind of preferred, so that the less work that we have to do, the better, right? So if I have to go and do my own research and look you up on Google, I'm gonna be like, oh, I don't have time right now. I'm gonna lose my train, right? So if you can just hand me as much as humanly possible, that's gonna be the benefit, right? Don't make me do the work.
I would say that too, like just bouncing off that as well, is that it doesn't, if you don't have this massive, you're not on Spotify or whatever, just send anything. Your friend, your
Instagram,
mom, your whoever that took a video of you, and maybe you don't have any. Still want to see it, right? Any kind of anything is better than nothing. Yeah. Which sometimes we get.
Yeah. Can I play your festival? Love, John.
Yeah.
Like, okay, super. I think you had a question as well.
Yeah, for the Canmore Festival, you mentioned the workshops. Is that like a performance thing, or is that more of like a teaching thing?
Yeah, they're performance, so they are collaborative. So what we'll do is, if I'm booking 40 artists, often what will happen is they'll get a solo show, as well as they'll get a collaborative show, and that could be on the main stage, that could be on one of our side stages or our pubs, and we're curating, sometimes it's thematic, sometimes it's genre-based, and we're curating artists together, and then really it's you guys playing together. My favorite kind of workshop is when it's not like song, 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 song. It's when you can actually create something completely unique that's not really ever happened before between two groups or two artists. So it's really just being able to jump in and try something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any other? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I never played a festival before. I was just wondering if you could say the qualities, like versatility, maybe you could say what that means. Like, what are the qualities of a good package, a good media package of our performance?
Do you want to speak to that, or?
Yeah, I mean, a great photo is always good. Artists that take care into their image and trying to, produce, if you can have a music video, that's great too. It just, all of it kind of builds into when we see an application, we're seeing an artist that really cares about the way they present themselves, they're taking themselves seriously, they're trying to pursue this to like the greatest extent. So I think, all of that stuff is you know, when you're kind of swimming in a sea of artists in the world, it's good to try to stand out and be yourself. But I think also beyond the you know, your package, it's like really something that festivals are gonna look for, and I know I look for, and even, you know, even outside of the stylistic theming of the festival, is a band that is going out there trying to promote themselves, trying to put on good shows and have a draw, you know, like that trumps everything. Because as I kind of said before, people, you know, just trying to, like, just really the festival needs to more help with the draw, right? So if you're a band that is like out there putting on shows, bringing their friends out to shows, you know, that's gonna get you a lot, because we need those local bands that are, you know, hustling really. And, you know, if they're out there handbilling or any of that stuff, like, I can't, like, you know, that's just like, that's such an important thing. So I think if you want to get booked on festivals, grind it out, try to have busy shows, do show, you know, and don't play too much, just try to make the shows that you do, you know, busy. And it'll help, it'll go a long way.
Just on that note as well, it's like I would say that what helps us is like a compelling pitch. If you've built like a compelling pitch, as it were, we're more likely to be like, oh hey, wow, they're really putting effort in, and this looks awesome, versus just, you know, not having that.
Yeah.
Right. That would be something I'd recommend.
So just a quick question on you guys. For an artist, how big of a factor is that social media presence when it comes to even including somebody onto a lineup versus maybe the quality of what they can do performance-wise? So let's say somebody has 1,000 followers, say myself has 1,000 followers, but I know that I could do well on a live show. How do you weigh that?
I mean, I can speak to me. I wouldn't say that social media is the most, like, that's not what I'm going to base on. I'm not going to look at how many TikTok followers you have, unless you're only a TikTok performer, then yeah, I'm gonna figure that out. But for me, I think it's if you're in the community, if you're playing shows, where you're playing the shows, people are coming to those shows. Like as he said, that's for me though. It's not. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you only have 500 followers. That isn't super impactful for me, but that might be different for your scales of festivals.
Yeah, it depends. You know, we have artists that don't have anything, nothing, zero. So, but they do have, you know, a lot of shits, but like they definitely are, you know, making an effort and getting out there, just have really great music that I feel like everyone needs to hear.
Yeah.
Which is the whole reason why I do this anyway. So for me, so it doesn't really matter, but you know, on the marketing side, because I'm also, we're new, we're trying to bring people to, so if you do have it, awesome. You know, that, and definitely, you know, and then I think we get back to having that good EPK where you've got your pictures and stuff, and then you're sharing and I'm sharing and everybody's sharing, you know, and then so you're kind of helping. Like, it definitely helps, but it doesn't, in the end of the day for us, it doesn't.
I think if you can relay to us that you do have like an audience, that's helpful. That doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be Instagram or Facebook or whatever, but just somehow relaying to us that like you sell out shows, doesn't mean sold out, but you have an audience, you've got a crowd that follows you, because we, again, when we're booking, we're trying to draw in a new audience, we're trying to draw in your fans, and so we want to make sure that you have some behind you.
Yeah, I think for me, social media following is an interesting, like, it can be important. I'd be like, wow, this, you know, but I also think, you know, stylistically, what the music is, for us being kind of a discovery festival and focusing on a lot of underground music at Purple City, I like new projects. I like things that don't get platformed all the time. I like things that aren't necessarily like taking up all the space at every other festival. You know, obviously there's some bands that are, you know, doing great in the scene and they're great bands and they get to play a lot of things, but we also, you know, kind of focus on trying to find new stuff and stuff that's a little different, and you know, so I think just a good track and a good photo. You know, the band might only have one track and not really have a ton of followers, but you know, like there is some live video or just, you know, just hearing the music, you know, that gets us excited. So it's not really all about like, oh, this whoever has the most followers deserves the most opportunity.
Thank you.
I also see too, I think there's something I forgot to mention, is like, don't give up. You know, like we can book, you can only have so many, we have so many in your lineup, you have so many years. But, you know, maybe don't feel disappointed that you maybe, well, I would always answer, but probably with a disappointing email. You know, but like, keep going, keep going, keep putting yourselves in our radar, and, you know, eventually it's gonna happen.
Yeah, there is someone reading those emails. There is, like, you are emailing a human, and we do care about the industry, and it's just knowing that maybe you will fit in 3 years from now based on what artistically we're focusing on that year. It doesn't mean that you need to give up now. It just means that it's down the road further, which is still a benefit, right? So it's just keep on going. I saw a hand over here.
Yes, my name is Lenore, I'm in Zenon. I've asked this question before, just because it's relevant to me particularly. When you're booking out-of-town artists, do you have a radius clause in the contract? And if you do, is it negotiable?
Speak to that.
Sure. It'll be different for all of us probably.
Yeah, so radius clause, generally locally for bands, we have a radius clause. It kind of should be somewhat of an unspoken rule to just not play a week before the festival or a week after, but you know, some people just want to play as much as they can. I would suggest, as being a person that has been in bands for 20 years, that less is more with playing locally. Like, try to focus on the best shows you can play. Playing all the time will wear your audience out.
Yeah.
And just try to make those events big ones, you know, and exciting for people. So I feel like playing at a festival, especially if you get a really good slot, is like an exciting thing to focus on. So that's a bit why the radius clauses exist. We, with Calgary bands, it's not important to us, but in the local, like, we usually do about an hour radius of Edmonton or whatever, just in the greater Edmonton area, usually 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. It can be negotiable. Like, if you do have a big opportunity, like, we're not trying to, you know, it just might affect like where we slot you, but also to like, just communicating it is great. There's always a kind of a workaround too. If you have something that's going to be after the festival and the show's already announced, just don't have your band announced yet. So you can kind of like tell your people, but it's just, you know, out of respect for the fest, just kind of, yeah. Try to get people to come out, because that's kind of why we're choosing you. We're hoping that you can bring your fans and we can grow the entire network of the whole festival that way.
Thank you. And just so you understand my perspective, I mean, you know, we actually help our artists to go on to their show, their concert, whatever, if it's, you know, greater than a certain distance, kilometer-wise. And with gas prices and the price of everything, quite often I try to get another show. We've even done it under an alias, you know, or attempted to do it under an alias, right? With the approval of the festival. They totally knew about it. But it really does help on the artist side to put a little bit more money in their pocket and not, you know, in the gas tank.
Yeah, and I think that's completely reasonable. I would be transparent with the festivals, so that we know. Yes, there is a radius clause for us as well. Interesting enough, our radius clause is 100 kilometers around us, but it doesn't include Calgary. So especially for the smaller artists, we understand that often you're going to want to play Calgary Folk Fest, and then you're going to want to play Canmore Folk Fest, and then you're going to want to play Edmonton Folk Fest. We are good with that, as it would be different if it were the headliners. Like, I wouldn't be booking the same headliners as as a Calgary festival, but when it's a smaller scale group, a more emerging artist, then yeah, we understand and we want you to make careers and we want you to be playing shows, and routing makes perfect sense. So that's probably my perspective on it. And just tell us, just be forthright about what's going on.
Be polite about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? That's all we really mind. We don't have that, no, we're lucky to get out there. Anyway, and if you've got another show along the line, good. I mean, there's not, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? You're going out to the wild
Everybody knows
southeast.
LieLow.
You know, I like to hear that. But, yeah, we don't, but it is, yeah, it's a kind of a politeness, right? Maybe don't, you know, headline a festival and Medicine Hat the night before, I don't, you know, right? Or do, you know, I'm not gonna be mad at you, I don't blame you, right, for me, but yeah.
And just like one weird little logistic thing, especially for us, because we're on a long weekend. When I hear that you're playing, say you're playing Revelstoke the day before my festival, I'm like, okay, traffic, how are you going to get to my festival on time? So then that's when I start to get some concern, because I don't want it, like, at least I'd like to see 2 days between a show, 3 days between a show. That's very unique to our scenario because we're on the highway gets closed and then you don't get to play the show. So that's just something to consider if you're driving around. Give yourself the buffer so that we're not panicking and you're not panicking, and yeah.
Yeah, like I'd just say too, just really it's about the same city. Like just playing in the same city during a festival at
Yeah.
a different venue that's not involved in the festival, it's kind of like,
Yeah, don't do
it's just like bad form really. You can do it, but probably not going to play the festival again.
Yeah.
So that's just, you know, honestly, because like I said, it takes everybody pulling together to make a festival exist for more than like a few years. So just everybody just trying to like draw to that thing. You know, there's so many volunteers and so many people involved that are just, you know, working year round to make the thing exist. Which might seem a little, you know, it doesn't seem like it when you're, you know, you're looking at the budgets for local artists and all that, but it takes a lot of money to just try to pull it off, and it's tricky.
Talking about money, do you guys have a minimum that you pay the artists? Obviously, there's always a scale of, you know, more famous, more money, how it works, but do you ask the artists to give, how much do you want, and then you negotiate from there, or how do you kind of go about the whole negotiation of fees for the artists?
I'll go first. We pay everybody that plays, but we would give you an offer. So like would be an offer, and then there's some negotiation on that, whatever that offer is.
Could you tell me like the scale that you use, or is that?
What do you mean, like how much?
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts at $200, right? And that's for an hour set, and that'll get you to Milo and back. But you know, it's ours. We're ticket funded solely on ticket sales, and it costs a lot of money to put this on. So it's not huge, but I like to think that. Well, I'm doing it for the love, certainly, and I don't expect artists to. I expect you that you're doing it for the love as well, but we also treat you really good, right? So I know the payday isn't really great, but you know, you get to hang out in a funky church all weekend, and we feed you and give you beer, you know, and the networking that you're getting over there is really great too, because you meet so many nice people, and you know, it is the country, so there's other, you know. I've noticed like different artists will be like, you know, specifically Vulcan or Musli. They have like kind of a neat music venue there. So you may come for that $200, you know. I mean, it does go up with different, obviously. But, you know, you might meet, or Aspen Crossing, like the people that run those places come to Milo, and then you've got a show there, you know, next month. And that payday is probably way better. But, you know, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, I think ours is similar, like maybe scale-wise is quite broad, because we're booking emerging all the way up to professional in terms of who we're booking. We want to ensure that, yes, everyone is paid fairly, but just remembering that behind the scenes there is a lot that we are doing. We're putting our artists up in the hotels, we're feeding all of our artists, we're giving you drinks all weekend. it's so there, and there is that networking behind it. So sometimes the payday isn't, yeah, it's not the biggest amount that you're expecting, but just thinking about the other costs behind it that we're offering hopefully helps with that. It's like we get you to Canmore, we put you up, we make sure that you're well fed and you're content the whole weekend, and it's a great time. So it probably is not 100% for the money that you're going to make, but hopefully there's some benefits behind it as well.
Yeah, for us, we have, with the application artists, they all get paid the same amount. Generally, with the festival budget and what makes a festival is really like the headliners. So that's where a majority of the money is going. That's what makes a festival unique. Flying people in from, New York and LA, all that, bigger names, bands that have never been here. It's kind of what makes it exciting. And I think, a lot of the money goes towards that, hotels, production. But I think, an important aspect of what you can get from a festival is like we always were trying to elevate, the bands that we think can get to the next level by giving them that direct support slot for these big bands. So it's a big opportunity to play, at a sold out Starlight Room show, can be your biggest show. But in general, with festivals, probably the lowest kind of paying gigs. It's, corporate gigs, weird, random ones. Like sometimes your CD release gig, you're going to make more money, but there's not, 70 other bands playing at your CD release gig. So, kind of thinking, I understand it from being a booking agent and a band, being all the things on all sides of it, that, yeah, the networking, the meeting other bands is kind of what makes the festival. So it's not going to be your biggest payday, I would say, but it's always just a great time. And I think if you went the other way and just paid everybody and just kept it local, it really wouldn't be that exciting. It would just be a bunch of shows that everyone's been to and no one's going to come, so you're not going to really get a big crowd. So yeah, it's kind of a slippery slope, I guess.
I just heard some mention about hotels, and so I'm curious about, is there a assigned accommodation for the artists or camping sites? And are they covered or subsidized, or is that something that we apply for ourselves with a grant? And also the other question I had is, do we do a stage plot, and does that affect whether we get accepted or not?
It's probably different for everyone in terms of accommodations. I can speak to what Canmore offers, is that every artist that plays our festival we put up in Canmore. So we have one lodge that all the artists would stay in. So that would not be included in the travel grants that you're writing. You would be paying for if you were flying from out of town for us, then you would be paying for that flight through your travel grant. So we pay ground transport and we pay accommodations. We'll get you from Calgary to Canmore, but we will not pay for your flights. That's pretty standard for us.
We have one hotel and there's 5 rooms and we make everybody arm wrestle over who gets it. No, but generally, if you're coming from out of town, we had artists traveling from Vancouver, Kitty and the Rooster last year, for example, they definitely got a hotel room and everybody else camped, and that's part of the fun. Or you could grab a couch at the church if you like, but it's loud in there and people are annoying.
Yeah, for us, mostly it's the fly-in artists and, people coming from a pretty great distance, like Toronto and Montreal and all that. We'll get the hotels, and that's kind of part of the negotiation most of the time, that I usually offer them hotels. Local artists like Calgary and Edmonton, usually it's not offered. You can ask. As far as the stage plot part goes, stage plots are just super important for the flow of the entire festival. So yeah, it's good. It's a good look to throw a stage plot in there for sure, and be on the ball with the backline stuff. Generally, we'll do backline for all the venues, so you only really need to bring your guitars, cymbals, pedals. Usually, we'll have everything. So that kind of helps too with a band that maybe just is coming from Calgary. You can all just jump in a car and come down there. You don't got to bring the band. You don't got to bring all your gear. Kind of keeps the flow of the festival going too, just quick changeovers. So that's how stage plots help. It's just giving the sound man a heads up when you're trying to get 70 bands through 3 days. It's you got to be on the ball. And also in that regard, be on the ball and be early for your show. Be there, be ready to go, you know? Because if you delay a thing that has 8 bands on it, it's like, no one loves you.
No one's happy.
No one's happy about that, especially the headliners. You're not making a good network there.
I don't know about you guys either, but I like it when you're applying and you actually there's a stage plot in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In their EPK. I love that, right? Because I'm like, okay, sweet, this will go, you guys will fit here or wherever. That's really beneficial, right? Doesn't hurt you, that's for sure.
Definitely not. There was a hand somewhere. See?
I can go, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do you have any X factor things that we should keep in mind that would help our performance to go well? As an example, I'm always nice to the sound person,
Yep.
even if they're an idiot and all these things, because that energy is gonna come out through my performance. And so, is there any like X factor tips or things that we could ensure
Yeah.
to do that would maybe seem outside of
Sound
grabbing the
techs.
microphone and
Sound techs can make or break your show a lot of the time, right? So do not mess with sound techs. Like, they are there to serve you, but they are also there, they are experts at what they do, and you work with them. So that's good. Be nice to your sound technicians. And again, like, we hear that an artist is treating our technicians or our volunteers badly. We're not gonna rebook you, right? Like, it's about culture and it's about community. So yeah, it's like, it goes a long way just to be a kind and lovely human. Again, like, yeah, being on time is huge for festivals. We have 50-minute turnarounds between bands. We have a curfew, very strict curfew, where we pay huge fines after 10 p.m. And if we go over that, I will not be happy. And if it's because you're just like fiddling around, like, it doesn't look good for the artist or the festival. So just being on time, being lovely. Is there anything else? Being prepared, obviously.
Yeah, I think an X factor, you know, for an artist is, again, just goes back to the hustle of what they're trying to do, you know. So if this is your first festival and, you know, you've been accepted, trying to, like, you know, if you're comfortable, you know, speaking on social media or hyping it up or doing something exciting for that show, you know, it's always good. Or even with your marketing plan, you know, just being like, hey, we're dropping a new single before the festival, that kind of stuff is really gonna, you know, shine some light. 'Cause usually, you know, the social media of the festival will have a pretty decent following, so piggybacking off that, and we can reshare what you're saying. So kind of using the festival as a platform to kind of further your career and kind of signal boost. I think that'll help people be excited that may, you know, they'll look through the schedule. I haven't heard of this guy, but I'm gonna go check it out, and you generally seem excited about your performance.
And just one more little thing that might be a personal thing is I really love when I see the artists who actually engage with the festival. So you're not kind of just coming in, doing your show and getting out of there. I know that's not always going to be possible, but when I see artists watching other bands, hanging out, being backstage, being front stage in the park, like it's really, that is an X factor for me. Just seeing that you kind of have the same love for the festival and same appreciation for the festival that we do.
Yeah, I think we covered everything. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to mention? But
No, just be nice.
Just a really quick one. If we want to invite you out to shows, do we email you? Do we DM you on Instagram? How do we go about that?
all of the ways. You can text me if you have my number, for sure.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, I'd say the same, like email, Instagram, however you can find us. Yeah.
I don't know, the last 10 minutes here, I think we've got a room full of people and we all have something in common, which is wanting to play a festival, doing a festival, organizing a festival, but a few of us here. And if we could want to just meet your neighbor, I don't know if everyone knows your neighbor, to take a few minutes and just, come and talk to us. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.